Today we're going to be talking about phishing. Specifically, we're going to talk about different phishing types and what the risk and what the threats, are to you and your business. So, as you know, for those of you that have joined us in the past, every Friday at 1 o'clock Pacific time on our social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, we do this live stream to talk specifically about technology and cybersecurity issues and tips that affect businesses in the state of Nevada, where we're based and where the majority of our clients are. And so we do this, and our goal is no more than 10 to 15 minutes, short and sweet, but to share information, to educate people, and answer any questions that may be out there. So for those of you that are watching live, thank you. Those of you that are watching later, thank you as well. Please feel free to comment in the comments below. If you're watching on Twitter, go ahead and reply to us, send us a tweet. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. But we love talking with other business owners and other people very passionate about cybersecurity specifically. So that being said, let's move on to kind of our topic today. And for those of you that don't know, August is Phishing Month, National Phishing Month, with an F, right? I mean, going out with a reel and rod and casting and catching some fish. I don't know who came up with it, but apparently it's a big thing. There's a website dedicated to it, all kinds of stuff. If you want to go to nationalfishingmonth.com, you can learn more. In fact, tomorrow morning, I'm going to be out fishing with my kids and some of my extended family for a little bit. And so I recommend that you do that, right? Get outdoors, go out and enjoy something. If you're not big into fishing, still enjoy the outdoors, right? It's a good time of year to do that. If you're in Las Vegas, get out of the heat, go up to the mountains, have a good time. At iTernal Networks here, we decided that we're going to make it Phishing Month with a PH. And all month long, we're going to be working on educating people about phishing, what phishing is, the dangers of it, and some tips and tricks and how you can protect yourself and your business. So that being said, here's our news item for today. No surprise, it's going to be phishing related. There's a criminal organization. I don't know where they're based out of. I couldn't find that in my research, but this has been in the news. There's a criminal organization that created what they're calling a phishing as a service. They call it Robin Banks, R-O-B-I-N, Robin Banks. And it's a specific phishing service that targets, no surprise, banks, right? So it targets US-based banks, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, the major ones. There's others as well that are being included. And what this is this is a service. It's as cheap as $50 a month. So a criminal can go on and pay this organization $50 a month to have access to these tools. These tools will send phishing emails that will then redirect a user to a fake website, a good imitation of a bank's website, where it will then capture the username and password that the user types in their browser. So now those criminals now have access to your bank login information, where they can then transfer your bank balances and other things out and really ruin your life. So it's out there, right? And it's important to be aware that there's these things out there, and criminals don't have to make them themselves. They can pay larger organizations to help them provide this service. So just make you aware that some of the stuff that's going on out there, and hopefully everybody's aware, to different tips and tricks. And we'll cover more of these later this month on how to recognize phishing attempts so that this Robin Banks doesn't affect you or any of your loved ones. All right, on to our tech topic of the week. We're going to talk about phishing specifically, the different types of phishing, and what are the risks. So Sophos, we're a big Sophos partner. Sophos calls, this is their definition of phishing: malicious emails that look genuine and try to trick you into providing data, spreading malware, or paying money. And so typically phishing emails try to impersonate people that you respect, your boss, a loved one, an organization that you associate with. Maybe it's the company you work for, maybe it's your bank, maybe it's a charitable company that you donate to. So all these, these are different ways that they attack, but that's essentially what it is. It's a malicious email that tries to target you to get you to give up information or to send them money. So there's a lot of different types of phishing. So I'm going to go over these. There's farming with a PH, not an F, farming, and that's a practice that involves threat actors alternating the IP address to redirect you to fake websites where they ask for personal data. So it's this, just like in a farm, you go and you plant seeds and eventually, the crops grow. They go out and they plant these fake websites and wait for users to come to them and collect the information that they put on them. All right, here's another one, spear phishing. So spear phishing is a very targeted type of phishing. So the criminals, the threat actors that are participating in this will do deep research on the target, right? So frequently this is managers, high ups, owners, CFOs, high ups in an organization that they're targeting, right? So they do deep research to find out all they can about them, to know their whereabouts, what their family is, anything that they can find publicly on social media and otherwise. They'll even go so far as to make fake social media pages and try to become friends with them, to see their private information. And they use all this information to build very targeted phishing emails, websites, and other tips and tools and tricks that they use to try to collect and to trick this user, to make them, the criminals look authentic and sincere in trying to collect this information. So that's another type. Smishing. This is another, that's kind of a fun one to say, smishing. This is where phishing over SMS or text message. This is becoming more and more popular. And I've seen recently FBI and other, organizations are basically saying, look, it's new and it's here to stay. Get used to it and learn how to recognize it. We posted, I believe it was last week, an article on specifically on that. We had some comments and some interaction with it on our Facebook page. So you can go back and look at that. But basically, it's text messages that are impersonating a bank, your boss, other people, to try to trick you into giving them information or doing something, right? Going and buying some gift cards and sending them gift card information because the boss is in a meeting, right? Frequently these things make it sound very urgent, right? So it's like, oh, I need this now. And people, without thinking about it, emotions come in and, oh, my boss is asking for this or so-and-so is asking for that. I need to get it to him so I'm not in trouble, without logically thinking through the steps. Phishing. This is another one that is not through email. So smishing is SMS. Phishing is through voice calls. So this is where criminals call and impersonate somebody. I've heard of them calling and impersonating the IRS. One of the big ones is they call as Microsoft. I had a friend who received a phone call and it was Microsoft, right? Hey, we've detected that there's some threats on your computer and we need to remote in and fix this for you so that you don't have major problems, right? And then if you followed along with what they said, you give them access to your computer and they implant malware and other stuff, and now that they're into your system and getting what they want from you. So my friend received one of these calls and he said, oh, well, I don't have any Windows computers. And they're like, oh, actually, we're with Apple. And he laughed, yeah, ha, 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 right, and hung up on him. He recognized it for what it was. I will just say that Microsoft and Apple are not tracking whether your computers have any infections or not. They will not call you. The FBI is not going to call you if, they're investigating you and stuff. They're just going to show up on your door. The IRS is not going to call you. You're going to get letters and other stuff. So if you get any phone calls impersonating or, saying that they're these organizations, you can know that you're probably being targeted in a phishing attack. All right, so what are the risks of phishing, right? So we've talked about some of the different ones out there. There's a lot of different risks, right? So there's, they try extortion, right? Some of them are saying, hey, we know what you did last week and we've got evidence of it and we're going to post it everywhere if you don't contact us and pay us this money, right? Loss of proprietary data, right? If you fall for an attack and give these criminals access to any of your data, your logins or your systems, you could lose it, right? They could initiate a ransomware attack where you lose access to it all. They could steal the data and then encrypt it. They could delete it. There's lots of different risks that get opened up when somebody falls for a phishing, smishing, or vishing, any of these type of attacks, which leads to financial loss. Sometimes we've been contacted by organizations who have had employees fall for these, and they've lost thousands of dollars because the employee went and bought gift cards or did whatever and purchased things and sent stuff over to this criminal actor, right, as part of the attack, and that money's gone. Another common one we see is wire transfers, right, where they impersonate somebody that you typically send money to and ask you to send money to them instead. And once that wire transfer is sent, it's not coming back. And then the other big one is reputational damage, right? So if somebody in your organization falls for this and you have information that's collected and gathered and then publicly posted on the dark web or otherwise, what kind of damage is that going to have on the reputation of your company, your organization, or you as an individual? So these are all the different risks that are out there. So I don't have any other specifics about phishing to talk about today, but I'd like to open up to any questions. Look and see if anybody else here. So it looks like Emily commented, smishing is fun to say. Yeah, she agrees with me. It's kind of one of those, like, am I saying it right? Smishing. So thanks, Emily. Emily also said, I read somewhere that they can record your voice on phone calls to use against you. Is that true? Yeah, I've heard of that as well. So there's laws preventing this, right? I know in the state of Nevada, you have to be notified if the call is going to be recorded or it can't be used in a court of law. But these are criminals, right? They're not going to follow the laws. They're already breaking them and doing what they're doing. And so yes, there's always a risk that they're recording you and could then potentially use that against you in the future. So I would recommend, if you're a target of the phishing and you recognize it for what it is, don't mess around with them, don't play with them, don't try to waste their time. Just get off the phone. It's not worth the risks to you if you continue messing around with them. Even though there's TED Talks, there's other stuff of guys that have, make it quite comical and stuff. They know what they're doing. So just avoid it at all costs. I don't see any other questions on here. So I'm going to move on. We do have a webinar coming up later this month. We're excited about it. We've got one of our partners, Breach SecureNow. They have an awesome platform for employee training, for phishing testing, for other security stuff that we use internally and with some of our clients. And so they're going to be coming on and using their expertise to talk to us about phishing. Specifically, the topic is don't get hooked with phishing. It's going to be August 25th at 1 p.m. Pacific time. So there's all kinds of tricky techniques that these criminals are using, and we're going to be covering some of them and how to protect your organization, the importance of educating your employees on how to recognize phishing, and some of the things that you can do in your business to help protect yourself. I'm going to post here links on where you can go to register for that. If you have any other questions about phishing, cybersecurity technology in general, I love answering questions. I love talking to people about these things. So you can always direct message me on any of our social media platforms, right? You can send me a tweet, you can post on my LinkedIn, comment on any of these, send me an email, and whatever works best for you. We would love to receive any of your questions and take the time to answer those for you. So I guess until next week, hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and don't get hooked with any phishing in the meantime. We'll talk to you next week. Bye.